Let's just quit our jobs and apply for Amazon. It's the place to be. Called Amazon my sexy mistress while treating employees and customers like some kind of filth, their shoe picked up on the street. That is a bold thing to say. Exciting work and abusive culture. Ooh. Hello, and welcome back to another video. Here, we're gonna actually talk about what it's really like working at Amazon. But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell, it really means a lot. My name is Preston, I'm a professional recruiter in the technology industry. Let's go ahead and get started. So like the previous videos that we've done on Facebook and Google, we're actually gonna go to Glassdoor.com and see anonymous reviews left by current and past employees. So, I just got to the main page here on Amazon. If you don't know them, they're one of the biggest companies with over $1 trillion market cap globally, based here in the USA. According to Glassdoor, they have over 10,000 employees. They're a public company. They're doing over $10 billion in revenue. What we've done before, like previous videos, we're gonna go ahead and check out reviews of over 140,000 reviews that have been left, which is mind-boggling. So let's click on that. As you can see here, there's over 140,000 reviews. People have rated Amazon to be a 3.8 star company out of a 5, which is pretty okay. But 74% would recommend Amazon to a friend, which is actually pretty consistent and high, and 80% approved of CEO. Of course, when this Glassdoor was started, Jeff Bezos was the founder and CEO. He's no longer the CEO anymore. It's Andrew Jassy. I'm just kind of curious how much the recent reviews that Amazon gotten were about Jassy versus Bezos, but overall, taking all the data into consideration on Glassdoor, we're seeing Amazon to be a 3.8 star out of 5, which is not the best. But let's dive in. And like we've done before, we're gonna go ahead and sort this out to the most popular. Let's get started. Okay, so this person is a software development engineer, and it's fairly recent, September 5th, 2022. And this person gives Amazon a 5.0 out of 5.0 stars. Nice. The pros: great place to work, and you get to work with great teams, which solves various business problems and focuses on providing great user experience to customers through all of its products. From my understanding, not being an engineer, but someone who works a lot with engineers through many years as a recruiter, I just see a lot of keywords here that are just checking off all the boxes. So great place to work, obviously, but you get to work on great teams, which is really important to a lot of people. You get to actually solve various business problems. A lot of times you work on a lot of these things that never just get shipped or launched, never goes to the market. But here, according to this person, you can solve, I'm assuming, various business problems that are directly impacting the top line, the overall performance of Amazon as a company, which gives a lot of people a sense of fulfillment, which is obviously very important when it comes to a job. Focuses on providing great user experience to customers through all of its products. Everyone wishes to have great experience with products, specifically with the customers. So it's great that this person can have the opportunity to do both. You get to work on a product that obviously tangibly impacts the business, but you can also make sure that the product is great. It's providing a really great, memorable experience that will further just be fantastic when it comes to retention and further engagement from customers down the line. What does this person say about cons? I don't see any downside of working for a company. Few might feel they need a better work-life balance. I mean, this is obviously a resounding theme in tech. Like, there will be spikes where you'll work a lot, but I would say on the whole, like, companies are trying to do what they can to preserve work-life balance, especially if you're one of the big tech companies here where you have just so much spotlight and press on you. So this person sounds like that he or she doesn't really have hard work-life balance. He might know of some people who are struggling with that, but then it really comes down to your team, your manager, and just how well you manage, but also backing that up with advocating for yourself. But I think this is just a very just vague statements. It's more pro than con, and at least it's a software engineer. So that's really interesting. Another 5-star rating. You get what you put in. This person is an anonymous employee in Seattle, Washington, probably out of the headquarters. January 10th, 2016. So keep in mind this has been written years ago. Pros: really smart people, a lot of opportunity for growth, always encouraged to be innovative, think big, and create something new. Again, these are some things that a lot of people aspire to do when it comes to work at new companies, especially tech companies. You want to make sure you're surrounded by intellectual peers that stimulate you and challenge you. You have a lot of opportunity for growth. You get a chance to kind of think outside the box, be innovative, and just create something new. Again, a lot of keywords, but this person still took the time to wrote that down. So I think this is why they're giving Amazon such high reviews. This person also writes, competitive salary and benefits with other major tech companies. That's great. Amazon is known to be fairly competitive with the other major tech companies. 100% self-motivated motivating work environment, I think that's great for the particular type of person. I think if you need a lot of rules or processes, you struggle to just motivate yourself, you just want to know crystal clear what I need to do every single day, like 100% self-motivating work environment might not be the best for you, but it is for this person. No dress code and 4-legged friends are welcome. Yes, I love pro-animal in the office policies. Dogs, cats, chihuahuas, giraffes, elephants, you name it. Cons. Again, this is exactly what I just mentioned. You have to be self-motivated. Like, no one will hold your hand and tell you that you're doing a great job. If you need constant affirmations from management, this company isn't for you. So even though it's a massive company, this is something that you typically see a lot with smaller tech companies where there's less processes, less teams, chaos everywhere. You have to wear like 20 different hats and just have to figure something out, work autonomously, and just execute and find results. A lot of people flourish in that type of environment and a lot of people don't. So you just need to make sure that when you go into different jobs, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And what's really interesting here is that they're talking a lot about kind of keywords that you find or experiences you find in smaller companies. So this could easily mean one of two things. Either Amazon as a company, even though they're massive, that they have a lot of like a small startup, agile, fast moving, break things fast culture, which here makes sense. Or maybe this person's kind of working on a small team or maybe a brand new product or maybe like a startup within Amazon. But either way, I think it's really, really important for you, especially if you're a recruiter guiding other candidates or you're yourself looking for new jobs. Are you someone who thrives in a self-motivating environment or not? And you just have to be crystal clear and really understand that, because if you don't, you can walk into a great company with a huge brand like this and maybe not cut it for 30, 60 days, and you might end up quitting and finding something else, which is obviously not ideal when it comes to any sort of job stability and like how it looks optically on your resume. So you just want to make sure you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, what you like, what you don't like, and then just try to make the best educated decision for you in your career moving forward. Aha, we got our first non-5-star review. This person goes, exciting work and abusive culture. Ooh. Written in 2016 by a senior engineering manager. This person's fairly straight up. They approve of CEO, business outlook. They do not recommend. Pro. Okay, so this talks about Jeff Bezos and his S team are brilliant and continue to make great decisions for long-term growth. Okay, so clearly points to upper management. You work with smart people, you work on exciting projects, you're pushed to limits, which can be rewarding when you accomplish great things. The diversity of this potential work and innovation can be alluring, clearly. I've often called Amazon my sexy mistress. She's emotionally abusive, but she's so sexy, I can go back for more punishment. I think there's a lot of reasons why people just stay at these big tech companies. I mean, the obvious reason is it just looks good on your resume. It looks good on your LinkedIn profile. It just gives you credibility as a professional, because a lot of times everyone wants to work at these companies, and a lot of times the interview processes are fairly grueling to get in. There's a certain kind of benchmark established, a caliber that the company wants to attract. But a lot of times people who get in are stuck there, and they may not necessarily vibe with everything about the company. They're very conflicted, but then they're stuck there for, maybe it's optical. They care about what they think, what their close friends and family think. Maybe they're stuck there from comp. Like, a lot of these big tech companies get paid top market, and once you establish yourself there, it's really hard to leave. What if you have family or kids or other responsibilities? What if you're working on cutting edge technology, but you hate it there, right? Maybe you hate your manager, you hate your colleagues, and for that reason people just suck it up and take the abuse or punishment as much as they can just to kind of push it out. And so there's no right way or wrong way. I do know, just from being a recruiter, talking to a lot of people, that I personally have spoken to many people who are in this situation. I also know a lot of people in this situation want to leave, but they just can't. And if they want to leave, they have to be flexible or make compromises or concessions to a point where it's just uncomfortable with them. Maybe again, they have kids and they can't afford a much lower salary to join a smaller company, or maybe they're just locked in for a variety of reasons. So I think, again, it's a pro and con thing, and this could be a double-edged sword, and it could be just a slippery slope very quickly. Let's see what they say about cons. Management process is abusive. Wow. I'm currently a manager. I've seen too much behind the wall and hate how individual performers can be treated. You are forced to ride people and stack rank employees. I've been forced to give good employees bad overall ratings because of politics and stack ranking. So if you're at Amazon, you're working at big tech, please share your experience of stack ranking. Obviously, I'm not in a place to confidently talk about this, but from my knowledge, I do know that a lot of companies have their tiers, performance tiers internally. You know, you're either top 1, top 5, top 10, top 20%, top 40%, top 50%, and then obviously like the bottom half. And then some companies like divvy it up within certain tiers, and depending on your performance, even though you might be likable, sociable, you might have some strengths here, people will just cut you or you'll get fired if you just don't even make the cutoff, right? So I don't exactly know what they're referencing here to, but like I do know that Amazon has a very you need to perform really, really well, just consistently. And yes, like this is unfortunate consequence where good employees can have bad overall ratings and end up getting terminated or leave or put on some sort of a PIP or performance improvement plan because of such like the rigorous and intense ranking system that they have internally, which cannot be as conducive to like a really good culture as you might think, right? Because it's such a high pressure like situation, and a lot of people can crack, and that's really, really unfortunate. This person wrote advice to management: don't pretend that the recent New York Times article was all about isolated incidents. Ooh, interesting. Maybe there's a New York Times article that came out and the management countered that by sharing with the company, oh, this has only happened once or twice. The culture is abusive and it will backfire once stock values start to drop. I'm an 8-year veteran and no longer recommend former peers to interview with Amazon. Wow, I've been there for 8 years, and throughout the whole time, that person probably took a lot of just keeping my head down mentality, and I don't agree this, I don't agree, but it just happened so much that this person after 8 years reached a tipping point where he or she is like, you know what, I'm not going to recommend Amazon to my friends or colleagues moving forward. Culture is abusive. That is a bold thing to say. Management not being transparent to the companies about press articles, that again is like a big no-no, not the best thing to instill loyalty and engagement with your workforce. And surely enough, yes, if things like this happen, it will backfire, especially once morale and people's confidence in the company internally and externally in the market drops, as they're alluding to here about the stock value. So, that's a very, very scathing thing to say. And again, we're back to another 5.0 company written in 2018 by a software development manager. Again, another manager. This person says, amazing company and the most driven and smartest of the people. Pros: you can learn a lot very quickly. You're surrounded by nothing but incredibly smart people. Compensation is amazing. Exciting project. Amazon is changing the world. I mean, full stop. Let's just quit our jobs and apply for Amazon. It's the place to be. Cons: can be very overwhelming. Very steep learning curve. I'm kind of curious about this person's training and what sort of ongoing training they have at the company to mitigate against this. Can be very difficult to keep up if you're not self-motivated. Again, self-motivated, talked about. Again, you gotta be self-motivated. Apparently, according to this, if you want to work at Amazon. What does it mean to be self-motivated? You don't need a lot of direction. You don't need a lot of clarity. You can function almost in an entrepreneurial capacity. You can ask your own questions, answer them without obviously having to like push it up to your manager or the manager and just wait without any kind of feedback from them. You're just able to move autonomously. You don't really, you can get your own feedback if you need. You don't need to wait on other people. And you're okay just working in a really, really, really fast-paced environment, or just constantly adapt with changing market dynamics, company dynamics, culture dynamics, etc. All of the above. If hearing that just made it sound very overwhelming, maybe not the best for you. All right, another 4.0 rating. Can be amazing for some people, horrible for others, but this person still, another manager in 2013 gave Amazon a 4.0. Now, I'm pro. Amazon's doing cool stuff, lots of boring stuff too. There are really well-run teams and very badly run teams. Experience for software managers and engineers all over the board, from really run low operational load teams to teams where people burn out after years. So again, he's talking about black and white. Things can be great, things can be bad, things can be exciting, things can be boring. This is something you find at every company. Let's see. Amazon is built quite deliberately to be Darwinian. You can expect that anyone who's been here for more than 2 years is competent and motivated, or they wouldn't have survived. Wow, it's like survivors of the fittest. You can count on them as long as your priorities are aligned. There aren't many slackers here and they don't survive long. If you are a prideful slacker, maybe a long-term career at Amazon is not in the cards for you. We work on so much stuff that there's always an opportunity to find cool stuff to work on. That's really cool. A chance to make a huge difference. Yay. A place where you can learn a lot about all kinds of things, both technical and about yourself. When you are at a job, you do learn a lot about yourself. When you are at a job and you find yourself in new situations, stressful situations, you learn all about yourself, the good and the ugly, like how well you interact with people, how well you can handle and manage stress, how well you can, meet deadlines, how well you can kind of take critical feedback from people, etc., etc. Amazon encourages high mobility, which is great. Even your manager can't prevent you from moving to another team within 6 weeks, normally more than a few months under unusual circumstances or conditions. This is fantastic, I think, because a lot of people's mobility is thwarted by their manager, either from insecurity or from a lot of other variety of reasons out there that you can kind of think of. It's becoming clear reading these that Amazon is a culture of performance. If you perform well, even if you don't get along with your direct manager, you can still maybe move to a different team, end up surpassing them, who knows? But it seems like good performers can move up. But again, if you're a slacker and you don't perform, you'll probably get called very quickly. Your friends and family have actually heard of the place you work and have at least a vague notion of what Amazon does without you having to explain. I don't know how big of a reason that is. Like, do you like working at a place where your friends and family, like they know the company, they know what the company does? I think that can maybe be a cherry on top for a lot of people, but not like a huge prerequisite. Cons. You're responsible for your own career progression and find the places and teams that are doing the stuff that you want. No one is going to take you by the hand and help you with that. I think we've already established that before. Very self-motivated. You're responsible for your own good career or bad career at Amazon. Again, deliberately Darwinian. The strong survive and the weak perish, metaphorically speaking, and the bar is constantly increasing. The level of performance that would have been acceptable 5 years ago will get you canned today. It's kind of crucible that will help you develop a harder edge if you can survive, and that can serve you well. Now, keep in mind that this was written in 2013, so if you have worked at Amazon, you know people at Amazon, please let me know if these comments still hold true. I can say without a shadow of doubt, Amazon is a pretty intensive company to work at. I know a lot of people have neutral to negative experience, but I know a lot of people who also have like amazing experiences starting all the way back from the interview process. So I think it's just a company that's going through a lot of transition. I think it also depends on what you do at the company, your team, etc. But on the whole, if you know of anyone, if you interview people, if you talk to people, either you're a recruiter like me, please let me know. I'm honestly curious. Advice: stack ranking is a horrible practice since it's rife with favoritism. It's also not Amazonian in that it's not data-based. Arbitrarily designating a certain percentage of employees that must be put on performance management isn't a data-driven criterion, and it's not frugal. Effectively forcing an individual out of the company in one division who would make the grade in another is either retaining someone who doesn't meet the bar or a waste of talent. The goal is to force managers to actually make the hard decisions about how their team members compare with each other. Not everyone can be exceptional, but it has more defects than virtues. Replace it with a common comparison of each person against the bar for their position based on data. The percentages that are assigned to each performance will turn out how they turn out. I think this is fair. I think it really depends on the metrics or KPIs that they're basing the decision off. If it's not completely off data, then there's always opportunities to fudge, vague, favoritism, like a lot of the intangibles or soft data points or reference points that people will make decisions off of can be like very, very subjective and can be manipulated or can just be completely biased on one way or another. And so if you're talking about managing and reducing your work staff, I think like you want to make sure it's objective and based on data as much as possible. Then, if you're firing people, then you're not firing people based on fair merit. So I think for this perspective, it makes sense. We got another 5.0. This person is FC Associate 2020. Challenging sometimes, but fun work environment, being part of a team, doing great things, great people to work with. Organization and communication can be challenged to maneuver around. Hours can become a challenge when managing a hectic schedule. I think this applies to every company out there. I think with bigger companies, it's much difficult to have clear communication channels. They have to make more of an effort to just include the tools and best practices to promote really good communication, whether it's like internal on a micro sense, internally and your immediate team members, teams with other teams, teams with other departments and divisions, and teams with anyone on the company, and also just teams with upper management. I think communication is very, very important. It becomes even more important as you grow and continue to scale. And so that's why you start companies seeing basic practices like town hall meetings and asynchronous and synchronous communications and all these different anonymous and all these different tools that you can use to make sure like everyone's on the same page as much as possible. It's not perfect, but I think we're slowly trending and making effort to trend in the right direction. Having to be available for any shift in order to move up to certain positions. Ooh, that can be brutal again, depending on what type of job that you do. Like, oh my God, like, hey, we have a midnight to 5 p.m., 5 a.m. shift. And like, that is obviously like a very, very difficult for most people, as that's an overnight shift. But if that's like your line of work, that's your department, that could be very, very difficult. And it could obviously have a negative spillover effect on everything else in your day-to-day, like family, friends, etc. Advice: work on leadership principles a little bit more. Help associates be the best versions of themselves with the company. Encourage and inspire change before in your approach. Let it make sense. Pretty straightforward. All right, another 5.0, great place to be, 2018, another development manager. Been at Amazon for a month now. I've seen none of the horror stories being communicated to the public. Interesting. So depending on the team and the company and maybe the office, you may have a great experience, you may have not a great experience. Although Amazon is a large enough company, I'm sure there are good pockets and bad pockets. Everyone here is smart and wants to succeed, both personally and as a company. People collaborate and help each other, and they focus on data, and they truly focus on the customer. Great. Every company I've ever worked for talks about how important the customer is, but on day 2, they've forgotten. Amazon seems to generally focus on what's best for customer, and it's awesome to be in meetings where people actually bring that up and make decisions focused on long-term customer satisfaction. I 100% can back this up, that they are obsessed with the customer experience. If you're here in the US, chances are you are using Amazon for all of your e-commerce needs, and then many other, tangential like verticals or products that they have. Maybe it's Kindle, maybe it's movies. They're just, they're all about like continuing to iterate as much as you can. But for me, someone who purchases a lot of things monthly for home consumption, personal, going to Amazon.com has just been transformative, rather than going to 30 different other independent websites and having to order and put your credit card information. It's just a hassle, right? So I know for a fact there's a real reason why people like me keep coming to Amazon, and they just want to be able to kind of maintain that experience on all the other verticals that they do. Cons, no cons so far. Amazon has some bad pockets in there, but it's an amazing job, an amazing opportunity. And the biggest thing I have to complain about, it's a little chilly in our building, so make sure you put on a sweater or you don't make your employees freeze and get frostbite. Let's see, we are now in a world where we're condescending by our inferiors. So this person left a 4.0, anonymous, Seattle. 4.0, but then a huge con section. So pros, it gets a lot of A-list performance from C-list employees. The culture is quick and hard. You're always working in relevant and meaningful projects. I mean, there's a reason why you get A-list performance from C-list employees, because if you don't, people get fired, because obviously we're reading here that it's pretty intense, stack ranking, all that. Cons, maybe because the company recruits C-listers who have neither merit nor pedigree. Most of those who become successful do so in treacherous, low-cunning ways. Ooh, that's a little bit kind of scathing to say, very, very subjective, pretty harsh, I think. This person then goes on and does a Game of Thrones reference. Imagine Lannisters of Game of Thrones attacking the Starks in Game of Thrones, or Rowles and Burrow attacking McNulty and Daniels in The Wire. This is everyday leadership behavior at Amazon. The culture at Amazon is so infested with these middling talent weasels who have juked the stats and schemed their ways to position of power that new employees coming in actually thinking that this behavior is normal and expected if you want to manage people. I mean, as humorous as that is, I think this can be related to a lot of things like parenting, family, friendships, even the workplace. I think how you see things are done on the senior management level, that people automatically assume that's how things should be. So like, oh wow, my manager does this, so when I become a manager, I think that this is okay. Oh wow, my managers said these things, behaved in a certain way, so if I become in their shoes one day, then I can do this and know that it's appropriate, or it's fine, or I'm not going to get in trouble. Same thing like, oh, if I see my parents do this, then I can do this growing up. If I see my friends do this. So I think the higher that you get in an organization, the more responsibility that you have. I think whatever your title is, people should always, especially in the workforce, be careful what they say, how they behave. But this especially goes for senior management, because obviously, maybe depending on how senior you are, maybe some of the rules don't apply to you, maybe you make the rules. But then, most importantly, you have the rest of the organization just watching you carefully. And then chances are, if you're in management, you're inspiring a lot of the young people in the organization. And if they think that, it's okay to say something in a certain way, behave in a certain way, that they're going to end up doing that. And so inadvertently, that could become maybe a small legacy. And if it's like a negative thing, you don't want that to happen. So let's do our best to just be better and just audit our actions and words, especially at a workforce. The work itself was stimulating and fulfilling, but the sneering condescension of the D-bags that cheated and skated their way through high school and party colleges, then just converted their winking nod, good old boy shenanigans into ask no questions, have no introspection company culture, have made manifest some of the worst criticisms of capitalism. Any left-leaning political aspirant would look at this business organism and immediately have content to lash out against the corruption that can come in free enterprise where hard work is not rewarded, and the connected, incestuous, privileged class lounge their way to wealth while treating employees and customers like some kind of filth, their shoe picked up on the street. Again, very, very harsh language, but again, very fair for this person's own unique experiences. I think favoritism, I think applying no rules to leadership, and just promoting your favorites is a practice that many companies do and should just not continue, right? That's just not good for morale, retention, and just overall being a workplace to work for. Advice: Bezos, you bought the Washington Post and hired Jay Carney to be a PR head. There's nothing I can write here that you would deign listen to, but because you are hacking must be mad at Expedia, beat you to the punch, and hired Chelsea Clinton to serve on the board of directors. For those grasping weasels that have scored and backstabbed your way to success, you know who you are. You won't care what is written here because you got yours. F them. This person was a driver. Okay. Great pros, great hours, flexible hours, and cons. Breaks are hard to take when you have busy days, so make sure you have your drivers better breaks. But what did you think of it? What did you like? What did you not like? Do you have friends or colleagues? Have you talked to someone recently that has worked at Amazon? Are these accurate, or are things changing for the better or for the worse, especially under the new CEO? Some of the things that I found that was really interesting is a lot of the big problems that you have at big companies obviously is present in Amazon, like with any big companies out there, even just beyond tech, but also including big tech. I think communication is very, very key. I think when it comes to the negative remarks that we saw lately, it's very, very important for senior managers to be role models in the most positive way as they can, as they have just a ton of responsibility and they don't know how they can affect subconsciously or even directly a lot of the rest of the organization, especially people who are younger and less experienced and senior as they are. So whatever you do, whatever you say, that can translate into how that person will become a manager as they progress in their career, for better or for worse. But it seems like a lot of the real issues at Amazon are not surprising. I think you definitely saw them at Meta, definitely saw them at Google. I think what is pretty intense is their very competitive, high performance based culture, even with this internal stack ranking. I think normally people shouldn't just go into a job and slack. I think that some people could have tough days, some people could have tough months and tough maybe several months, depending on what you're going through personally or maybe health-wise or something. And I think if you're a good employee and maybe you're just having a rough couple weeks or months or two, that shouldn't really count against you. And I think for a company that has a really intense metrics and are you performing well or not, like you saw before, a good employee, a great employee yesterday can have their career on the line tomorrow based on just maybe a couple things going wrong, or they're just not putting the same amount of output because maybe they're having family issues, personal issues, I don't know. And I think those have to be just reviewed and just audited just very, very carefully. But I can see situations where, good people are getting let go, good people are getting fired because maybe something out of their control happened, or they just, they just had bad cards that were dealt. I think more effort should continue to be data focused and objective, especially when it comes to just having things like favoritism just not happen. That's just not good for morale. That's just not good for overall culture, employees' happiness and fulfillment, and just the upward mobility. If that keeps going to the people that are just not working, or they just have really good relationships or social backgrounds as upper management, that obviously is going to be very difficult for a lot of people. So again, I think these issues are not true to Amazon. I think what we can certainly say from just this page is that Amazon's very intense. Amazon, obviously rewards the high performers, but if you are, I think, depending on your team or office or division, you can have a wonderful experience at Amazon while someone else can have a horrible experience. And so please don't take anything true to their value. A lot of these have been written years ago. And again, anything written online, you always want to take with a grain of salt. But either way, I found it very insightful, and it's always great to hear what current employees or past employees actually have to say about working at one of the biggest, most well-known companies out there. So if you like this video and you want to see more like it, or you just want me to maybe analyze another company, jot it down. It would mean a lot if you give us a thumbs up, a like, click that bell, help out a fellow recruiter. I really enjoy making these videos and I hope that you are able to learn a thing or two. But I learned a lot, I hope you learned a lot, and we'll see you on the next one.